Well, good afternoon, brothers and sisters. Let's continue reviewing Volume 1 of Book of Heaven. Last week, we read about the battle of Louisa with the demons. Um, she was going through a transformation at that time and destroying her ego. She was also imitating Jesus, right, in his passion. And he told her that he was going to put her in battle with the demons because that was her purification path. So that purification removed whatever human will she had inside her soul. In our case, how would we know what is needed to be removed if no one will make those miseries, I would say, surface? Um, and that's why the demons are there for that. They make our miseries like get on the surface, and we can deal with those miseries to transform them in virtues, because that is what Jesus uh, wants us to do. So let's continue in this volume. We're still going to read what the demons were doing, right? We're trying to do to her soul. He also tempted me not to receive communion, persuading me that after I had committed so many sins, it was a boldness to go there, and that if I dared to, not Jesus, Christ, but the devil would come and would give me so many torments as to make me die. However, obedience would win. It is true that sometimes I suffered mortal pains, such that I could hardly come round after communion, but since the confessor absolutely wanted me to receive it, I could not do otherwise. I remember that quite a few times I did not receive it. I also remember that sometimes while I was praying in the evening, they would turn off the lamp. Sometimes they would let out such roars as to strike fear. Other times, feeble voices as if they were dying. But who can say all that they would do? It is impossible. So this hard trial, though I don't remember too well, lasted for 3 years. However, there were days or weeks of interval. It is not that they would cease completely, but they began to mitigate. I remember that after one communion, the Lord taught me what to do in order to put them to flight. Now, this is something that we should have in mind, brothers and sisters. And this was to despise them and not to bother about them at all, and to consider them as if they were as many ants. I felt so much strength being infused in me that I no longer felt that fear of before. And I would act in this way when they made clamors and noise. I would say to them, it shows that you have nothing to do, and that in order to spend time, you are doing so many silly things. Go ahead, do them. For when you get tired, you will stop it. Sometimes they would stop, other times they would get so angry and would make greater noise. I felt them near me, making themselves stronger and doing violence to themselves in order to take me away. I smelled the horrible stench. I felt the heat of the fire. It is true that in my interior I felt a certain shiver, but I would pluck up strength and say to them, liars that you are, if this were true, you would have done it from the first day. But since it is false, and you have no power over me, but that which is given to you from above, go ahead, keep singing. And then when you get tired, you will croak. If then they sent out laments and shouts, I would say to them, what is this? You could not add to the accounts today? That is, have some souls been taken away from you that you lament? Poor ones, they don't feel well, but I too want to make you lament a little bit more, and I would begin to pray for sinners or to do acts of reparation. Sometimes I would laugh when they started to do usual things and would say to them, how can I fear you, cowardly species? If you were serious beings, would you not have done so many silly things? Don't you yourselves feel ashamed? Don't you let yourself be made fun of? If then they tempted me to with blasphemies or hatred against God, I would offer him that most bitter pain, that violence I made to myself in seeing that while the Lord deserved all the love, all the praises, I was forced to do the opposite, in reparation for many who blaspheme against him freely, and who do not even remember that a God exists, whom they are obligated to love in return. If they incited me to desperation in my interior, I would say, I don't care either about hell or about paradise. What I care about is to love my God. This is not the time to think about anything else. Rather, it is time to love my good God as much as I can. Paradise and hell I place in his hands. He who is so good will give me what is best for me and will give me a place in which I can glorify him the most. Now we can stop here for a minute and see all the horrible things that these demons were trying to do to her, right? To disturb her peace, to in communion, to attempt not to receive communion. And sometimes she even didn't receive communion. But then Jesus gave her the clue of what she should do, right? And it's like to, let me see, with the exact words of what he says. And this was to despise them and not to bother about them at all, and to consider them as if they were as many ants.
Yes.
So sometimes we think about the demons that they are like more powerful than we are, but Jesus is telling us, don't fear them. They are like ants. So they would try to lie to you. They would try to make you fear them. But if you really believe what I'm saying, you will know that because they are liars, they're just trying to play with your mind and with your soul, so then you can say yes, yeah, what he or they are saying is true.
Yes. I think it's a great teaching from Jesus. For all those who fear the devil, the most effective method is just despise them and not pay attention to them. So, and as they are full of pride, they cannot see that Saul despises them and
Exactly.
is not afraid of them. So we must not give them any power and close the doors of our soul to them, so we can win the battle against them. This is the way. Treat them like ants, like Jesus said.
Mm-hmm.
And as God is in us, what should we be fear? Before God, they are nothing. So this is a great lesson from Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
When thoughts comes against God, we must suffer them, reject them, and make reparation.
Yes.
with all those who are against him.
Mhm.
And this is the weapons we must use: repair and remake.
Exactly.
For me, this is one of the strongest lessons in the first book. And the phrase that is still um, like ear in my ear, like that I can hang in my ears is to treat the devil as an ant, because we were not taught to do that before, until now that Jesus says so. So
Mhm.
if he says, it's something that I should to believe. And when I feel that temptation is coming near to me, I I think in this phrase is an ant.
Mhm.
And the other good thing that Paris mentioned is the other the the other way for the devil is to pray for sinners and do act of reparation.
Mhm.
So please God, instead of being afraid or for suffering or feel ashamed in front of God for doing something that is not good, the best thing is to repair and pray for sinners. And
Mhm.
the exit uh, is a guarantee.
That is so true. And also it says here, right? Sometimes they incited her for desperation. Doesn't
Mhm.
that happens to us also? In certain situations in life that we feel like desperated.
Mhm.
But then Jesus teaches her a lesson, such a beautiful lesson that we should apply to us as well. And he said, well, she was the one who said it. She told the demons, I don't care either about hell or about paradise. What I care about is to love my God. So
Yeah.
when we feel that way, right? We should say exactly the same thing. I don't care about what you're inciting me to think. I don't care about that. I just care that He is my God, He is my creator, He's my Lord, and He deserves my love. And that's the only thing I'm going to think about. So no matter what happens, don't we should not keep on giving life to those thoughts in our mind.
To-
And we have something wonderful in the hours of the Passion.
Mhm.
Luisa says, when the occasion comes to have all these thoughts and offend him, say, Jesus and Mary, I commend my soul to you.
Mhm.
I don't know
Mhm.
if you remember this, but
Yeah, I remember.
that's the
Yeah,
weapons.
those are the
Uh-huh.
weapons.
That's
Yeah.
that we are the solution for all these troubles.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Jesus and Mary, I commend my soul to you. So,
And that's why Jesus says, keep an eye on me.
yes,
Mhm.
So in everything, keep an eye on me.
Mhm.
That's why Luisa did that.
yes.
I don't care about anything, just to love my Jesus.
Yeah. Jesus taught her to put her eye only on Him,
Mhm.
right? To look at Him. Okay, well,
So
let's continue.
so it's necessary to defeat them in us.
Mhm.
Necessary. And so that they do not have the power to enter on our soul anymore. Never again. If
Mhm.
really wanted. It's
Yeah.
just it's just a, a decision, yeah? A real decision that they don't enter anymore in us.
Mhm. Yeah, because after those miseries are like transformed into virtues, uh, they just run away
Yes.
because we don't keep on listening to them. and they don't dare, get near us because there's nothing they can do.
And if we go more in deep, loving Jesus, we don't need these miseries to convert in virtues. He is giving us his virtues. So the things is 36, 360 grace are all around.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's spectacular. Looking this reading in a positive way, as we are remarking.
Yes. Yeah. Well, the demons are there to to make those miseries arise, right? So we can see them. So we can see them, and then we can fight them.
That's why the Lord says they are the dogs that take care.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So let's continue reading
But
now.
but I understand that when you go in the fourth grade of divine will, all the things they don't happen anymore because the devil knows that God is with you completely.
Mhm. Yeah, they run away.
Mhm.
Actually, in this volume, we're going to see when she.
what will happen?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they feel tortured when they get near a soul that is full of God.
Well, here is something to mention with that you say that the devil has a sense, has a smell of sanctity, and he understood since Luisa was a child that she's something special because Jesus explained that the devil couldn't go through her soul at all. So no creature was like this. That's why the devil knew that something is going to happen to him because of Luisa. So can we imagine with how strong he was bothering her because he knows his life as evil is in danger. And she was a child, but she succeeded.
And after all this happened, right? That dance to her fiat, voluntas tua. We have like this beautiful third work of God, right? That is fulfilled through her because of her sacrifice and her and she uniting her soul with God by being only one. So now I don't know, but I see, like, for example, like all these demons, saying, well, if she was the first one, I don't know what to expect. Well, we don't know what to expect with all the others that are gonna that are gonna do the same as she did. So that's why the devil hates so much, this third work of God. He wants to be God, but he can't.
Yeah. And I was thinking in the patriarchs that they didn't have this gift that we have.
Mhm.
Really, how misery we would be if in this generation we don't make the decision as Patty says. It's
Mhm.
just a decision.
It's a decision. Yes.
Mhm.
And they will be closing the door, but they will no longer be able to act in the soul
Mm-hmm.
with this
Yeah.
third fiat.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's why this is huge, the divine will. Another
Yes.
part, yeah.
Mhm. And it's so true because when I remember that in one of the lectures, it says that that when you enter, you cannot come out of it because there's no doors, there's no windows, you're just there. So nothing can go in and nothing can come out. So after a soul lives in God, you know, everything is close to that soul. All the outside is close to that soul. Even the demons cannot just, get near that soul. It's beautiful, right? To listen to all these divine teachings and how we
Beautiful.
can put them like all together, like it's like a spider web with one divine teaching. We can connect it to another one and then to another one. It gets
Yes.
beautiful.
And we can see the power of the divine will.
Yeah. In book 11, the Lord says to Luisa regarding the devil, if you were going outside of this environment, you will see thousands of demons over you.
Mhm.
How weak we can become being outside of the divine will.
Yes. That's why our desire should be, may his kingdom be real in us, and ask for that kingdom to come to us and to spread to all others, right?
Fiat.
Okay, well, let's continue reading for a little more. Jesus Christ taught me that the most effective means so that the soul would remain free of any vain apprehension, of any doubt, of any fear, was to protest before heaven, the earth, and the very demons that she does not want to offend God, even to the cost of her life, and that she does not want to consent to any temptation of the devil. And this,
And
as soon as
that's what we're talking about. The firm decision. The decision
Mhm.
to not offend to God,
Mhm.
even at the cost of the life. So
So it's a decision with the sacrifice.
the sacrifice, yes. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it is true because no, I was just thinking about what you were saying. It's a decision with a sacrifice because it's a sacrifice for us because we say, I prefer to die instead of sinning,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
Okay, so
And we are imitating our Savior because he did it without questioning for at all.
mhm.
And he gave all his blood, his water, um, everything he is. So who am I not to accept such a sacrifice?
And this, as soon as the soul feels the coming of the temptation in the act of the battle, if she can, and as she begins to feel free, and also during the course of the day. By doing this, the soul will not waste time in thinking about whether she has consented or not, because the mere memory of the protest will already give her calm. So even though during the day we have kind of temptations, we can say no. And if I would have wanted to sin, right, I would not have said as the first thing in the morning, I prefer to die instead of sinning.
Yes.
And that gives us like peace.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to say something, buddies?
Oh, yeah. We should choose to die before sin.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in a spiritual way, I think.
Correct.
Yes.
And this is what is
Because
named.
every time when we sin, we die in us.
Mhm.
And
Exactly.
die the life of God in us too. So that's terrible.
Mhm.
It's terrible.
Yes.
Sorry, Guadalupe.
No, sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. But I mean, the word protest here, I didn't understand the meaning. Protest is to say that I don't want to offend God even at the cost of my life. Is this what
Yes.
is mean protest? Mhm.
That's what I understand as well. Let me
Mhm.
read it again. By doing this, the soul will not waste time in thinking about whether she has consented, right? Like, for
Mhm.
example, we have a temptation during
Yeah.
the day or whatever, we have consented to those thoughts or not, because the mere memory of the protest will already give her calm.
Mhm.
That's what I understand. I don't know if you understand something different. And if the devil tries to disturb her, she will be able to answer that if she had the intention of offending God, she would not have protested the opposite. See?
Mhm.
In this way, she will remain free of any fear. Now, who can say the rage of the devil, since all his tricks resolved into confusion for himself, and there where he thought he would gain, he would lose, and his very temptations and tricks were used by the soul in order to make acts of reparation and love for her God by acting in this way. The other way he taught me in casting away temptation was the following. If they tempt me to suicide, I was to answer, you have no permission from God. In the contrary to your annoyance, I want to live so as to be able to love my God more. If then they beat me and hit me, I was to humble myself, kneel and thank my God because this was happening as a penance for my sins. Not only this, but to offer everything as acts of reparation for all the offenses against God that were given in the world. Lastly, an ugly temptation that lasted for a short while was that after being a continuous contact with demons so ugly for about 1.5 years, I would become pregnant and deliver a little demon with horns. My imagination would breed itself in such a way that I saw myself in a terrible confusion in the face of what people would say about me because of such an awful event. Finally, after about 1.5 years of this fight, the cruelties of the demons ceased and a whole new life began. Although the demons did not stop molesting me from time to time, however, it was not so frequent. The battle was not so fierce, and I became used to despising them. So these are all examples of what she went through, and maybe we can see ourselves in some of these examples, or maybe not.
Yeah, and we will have this battle with the enemy. It's necessary.
Mhm,
And it's necessary to despise them and defeat them. And this is the lesson from Jesus.
mhm. And how we defeat them, being humble, it says there,
Yes.
and saying, I really deserve this, and then repair for the love of God for all, the offenses against him.
Yes.
So the new life
At the end, the strategy was uh, do everything against evil.
uh-huh,
He
do all the
bothers,
opposite.
everything was for God. He bothers, the result is that everything goes for God.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, and reparation.
Mm-hmm.
This is the weapon, reparation, reparation, reparation.
Mhm.
The courage to defeat them and prepare for all these doubts, all these feelings, and
Mhm.
for the glory of God. Yes.
So finally, after about 1.5 years of this fight, the cruelties of the demons ceased and a whole new life began. Although the demons did not stop molesting me for time to time, however, it was not so frequent, the battle was not so fierce, and I became used to despising them. The new life that began was at the farm called Torre Desperata. One day, while more than ever I had been tormented by the devil to the point that I felt myself losing my strength and fainting around evening, while I was in this state, I felt I was having a deadly fit and I lost consciousness. In that state, I saw Jesus Christ surrounded by many enemies. Some were beating him, some were slapping him, some were driving thorns into his head, some were breaking his legs, some his arms. After they reduced him almost to pieces, they put him in the arms of the Madonna, and this happened not too far from me. After the Most Holy Virgin took him in her arms, she drew near me, and crying, she said to me, "Daughter, see see how my son is treated by men, the horrible offenses they commit, which never give him respite. Look at him, how he suffers." And I tried to look at him, and I saw him all blood, all wounds, and most cut up, reduced to a mortal state. I felt such pains that I would have wanted to die 1,000 times rather than see my Lord suffer so much. I felt ashamed of my little suffering. The Most Holy Virgin added, but always crying, "Come closer to kiss the wounds of my son. He chooses you as victim, and if many offend him, you, by offering yourself to suffer what he suffers, will give him a relief in so much suffering. Won't you accept?" I felt so humiliated. I saw myself so bad, and I am still and unworthy, that I did not dare to say yes. My nature trembled. I felt so weak from the past pains that it barely left me thread of life. Then I don't know how, I saw demons yelling and shouting from afar, and that everything I had seen them to do to the Lord, they were going to do it to me if I accepted. I felt such pain, suffering, straining of nerves within me that I thought I was going to leave life. So at that point, she trembled. Her nature trembled. It's not the same when we see another person being like, being beaten the way Jesus was beaten. Then when somebody tells us, "Do you want to suffer that the same way that that person had suffered?" And then our nature resents and trembles. But she was offered to be a victim, to offer herself and her suffering to relieve him from his suffering. But of
And
course,
besides, like you said, she was 16, 18 years old. So young, and how strong she was.
If we accept this divine will, we accept victim souls.
Mhm.
If we accept this call of Jesus, like you said, we are victim souls, but in a spiritual way.
Exactly.
Yes.
This is
So that's
important to remark because sometimes people is waiting for the visible marks,
Yes.
but this is not.
No, this is in a spiritual way.
Mhm.
it's in a spiritual way, and many times we tremble because we think that maybe it's going to be like a kind of that is going to happen to us like in a natural way, in a material way, right? And that's why sometimes we tremble. But in our case, well, if Jesus wants that to happen to us, he will ask us. But he will give us the grace also to, to pass that suffering in our nature. But in our case, we are a victim. We are a perfect victim, because what happens to us is that we say, yes, Jesus, I am here. I want to live your life. Give me your life. I want to possess your life in the divine will. So you can receive my company, right? And I can make you happy, because you are going to continue doing what you did 2,000 years ago, because I'm here with you. I'm united here with you. I give you the opportunity to keep on working the way you have been working. And that's the way we relieve him, right? We're not taking away his suffering. We're uniting our suffering with his suffering, because we suffer when he suffers. Isn't that true? It's so interesting, right? How we can think, maybe we think in a different way before, but now we think in a divine way. Let me tell God, yes, I want this. You are giving me the opportunity for you to continue doing what you have been doing always. I want to be the humanity that you don't have at this moment. If I give you my will, if I enter in your will, you will feel happy, you will feel loved, you will feel relieved. And with you, I can extend those reparations to so many people, to so many creatures in the world from all generations. And one day they might have the opportunity. They might take those divine acts. They might take those divine acts and then say, yes, I see what God has done. I see what he did for me. I see that I was made in his image and in his light, and I want that, and I repent. So this is beautiful. Our work is only starting here.
Mm-hmm. Yes, embrace these sufferings and make them mine.
Exactly.
We need to love this life. Really love. To accept this.
That's why he says the complete crucifixion is in us, changing acts for nails.
Changing acts for nails. Let's read this other paragraph, and then we leave it there, and we continue next Wednesday, okay?
Yes.
Then finally, I drew near and I kissed his wounds. It seemed that after I did that, those limbs so lacerated would heal, and the Lord, who before seemed to be almost dead, would begin to revive to new life. Interiorly, I received such light about the offenses that are given and attractions to accept being a victim, even if I should suffer 1,000 deaths, for the Lord deserved everything, and I could not oppose what he wanted. This happened while we were in mute silence, but those gazes that we exchanged were as many invitations, as many burning darts that pierced my heart through. The Most Holy Virgin specially spurred me on to accept. But who can say all that I went through? Finally, looking at me benignly, the Lord said to me, "You have seen how much they offended me, and how many walk along the path of iniquity, and without realizing it, fall into the abyss. come to offer yourself before the divine justice as victim of reparation for the offenses that are given and for the conversion of sinners who with eyes closed drink and the poison fount of sin. A large field of sufferings opens before you, yes, but also of graces. I will never leave you again. I will come within you to suffer all that men do to me, making you share in my pains. For help me comfort. I give you my mother, and he seemed to deliver me to her, and she accepted me. I too offered all of myself to him and to the Virgin, ready to do what he wanted, and this is how it ended the first time. So her fiat should be our fiat as well.
Well, this is the invitation to us then.
And also we are not alone because Mother Mary is there as well. And Luisa is there as well.
Yes.
And many other souls that are like learning this new way of living, right? That is with his own life, to offer ourselves as victims with him.
Yes.
And this is the way we should live. We should give death to our will, to our human will, and in that death, what he does is that he takes our will, he puts it in that cross, and then we rise with him in his divine will, and in that cross, that is his suffering, then it becomes our suffering as well, not only because of us, because of what we had done, but we offer ourselves also as victims of reparation for all who are doing the same thing to Jesus. And it never ends, but we are there with him. And that is the price that he gives us is a divine suffering with many, many graces. It looks at the outside that we are like in pain, but really in the inside, we are full of joy.
Yes, but also of graces, like I will never leave you again. So if we do it this, Jesus will never leave you, will never leave us. So
it's it's only one life. He cannot leave us because it's his life, the life that we live. And we cannot leave him because it's his life, the life that we live. So,
and the same happened with the Virgin, because she says her heart has a space for every one of us, because she's mother of every one of us, and she says that she will not leave us too. So it's a walking with Jesus and Mary beside us.
Yes. Well, we have ended today's reading. Let's stop it here, and then next Wednesday we will continue volume 1. Hopefully we are learning the true path that we should all follow is the path of Jesus, right? His passion.
Yes.
Because if we don't follow that passion, we will not rise again, and we will not live the real life that he had taken out of his ad intra, which is in the Holy Trinity. He created our life, a divine life. So if we don't unite our life with his life, that life will never become true. The one that we're living without him is a false life. And this is what he is offering us, to take the real life that he wants to give us. So brothers and sisters, we'll see you next Wednesday. God bless you all.